to our Wednesday webinar this afternoon. My name is Sally Reynolds and I'm going to be moderating this afternoon's session on media literacy at the national and regional level, supported by the EDMO hubs. This is the second of this round of sessions Wednesday webinars that we've run on the topic of the work carried out in what are sometimes called the new EDMO hubs. So I'm delighted to be with you this afternoon. The session will last an hour and a quarter. We would ask, as you hear, lots of people are still joining. We have a lot of people signed up for this afternoon, so they will be joining us gradually over the next couple of minutes, I guess. Couple of notes of housekeeping before we get started. We are recording this session, as you can see. We ask that you keep your cameras on and your microphones off unless you're actually asking a question. We will have some time for questions and for discussion during the session this afternoon. We will also make available afterwards to everybody who's registered the presentations that are given this afternoon, as well as a resume of some of the key points being made by the hubs this afternoon that are going to be presenting. So, in fact, we have 3 different hubs who are going to be joining us this afternoon. We will be starting with the hub BECID, which is the Baltic Engagement Centre for Combating Information Disorders, covering Lithuania, as you can see, Estonia and Latvia. We will then go to GADMO, which is the German-Austrian Digital Media Observatory. Florian will be presenting that one. And then the third one this afternoon is from Laura Aniot from HDMO, which is the Hungarian hub against disinformation. So those are the 3 hubs that we're going to have joining us this afternoon to tell us what they're doing on the topic of media literacy in their respective countries and regions. If you have a moment, could you just maybe adjust your name, because we'd love to see where you're joining us from. So you just go into the list of participants where you find your name and maybe adjust your name and put in brackets or after your name the name of your institution or the country you're coming from, so we know where you're joining us from. Feel free to use the chat as well. Chloe, my colleague, will be putting in links that are mentioned by our speakers this afternoon. And of course, you're very welcome to ask questions, raise points of information that people might be interested in. Please feel free to share those in there this afternoon. So before we get started with our first hub, I'd like to ask Emma to join me. Emma Goodman from EDMO EUI as well, who with us here in the Media and Learning Association is helping to network and bring together the various different elements of media literacy in EDMO. So Emma, going to hand over to you, and you're going to give us an introduction to EDMO and specifically the work on media literacy at the European level. Thanks, Emma.
Great. Thank you very much, Sally. So yes, so I'm Emma Goodman and I'm working on EDMO's media literacy activities as part of the European University Institute team. I also work at the LSE in London. I'm just going to give a very quick overview of EDMO and then the media literacy work that we're doing within EDMO. Of course, many of you will be already familiar with EDMO, but just for those who are not, EDMO is the European Digital Media Observatory, an independent multi-stakeholder initiative funded by the European Commission. The consortium, led by the European University Institute, started work in 2020. And switch to the next slide. When the second mandate for EDMO was confirmed in December last year, it came with additional partners and a strengthened focus on media literacy as one of the core pillars. And we're very excited to have the Media and Learning Association now as a partner and to be working with Sally and Chloe. And next slide, please. Crucial to EDMO's mission are the national and multinational hubs. So 6 new hubs were announced at the end of 2022, and along with the 8 that were already operating, these now cover all EU member states. Each hub consists of its own multi-stakeholder, multidisciplinary alliance and carries out activities and research in its local market or markets. Next slide, please. EDMO's activities include setting up a secure platform for fact checkers to collaborate, researchers and other experts doing mapping work, building collections of resources, working with and on behalf of researchers for increased access to platform data, bringing stakeholders together for conferences and events, and of course, media literacy activities. So now what media literacy looks like within EDMO. Next slide, please. So within EDMO EU, the media literacy work is the responsibility of the European University Institute and the Media and Learning Association. Within each of the EDMO national and multinational hubs, a partner organization or more than one is responsible for media literacy. And the hubs are developing a range of ambitious media literacy projects targeting their markets. Next slide, please. And so we've thought very hard within EDMO about how we can make a positive contribution to the media literacy sector. One of the challenges within the media literacy world is that it's a fragmented field, both at a European level and at a national level, with a different setup in each country in terms of institutions, national curricula. It involves a very wide array of stakeholders, including policymakers, educational bodies, regulators, researchers, schools, libraries, campaigners, NGOs, news organizations, tech companies, and more. So one of the key areas we believe that we can contribute to at EDMO is mapping the landscape. We published an overview report of media literacy at a European level, and now in conjunction with experts within the EDMO hubs, we're producing country profiles for each EU member state, outlining national policies and frameworks and the status of media literacy, both within and outside of formal education, the activities of the relevant EDMO hubs, and links to a selection of key stakeholders. Next slide, please. Related to the same issue of fragmentation, we're also working to promote knowledge exchange across sectors and across borders. We've started this already within EDMO hubs. We're in the process of building a trusted forum for all the media literacy experts and practitioners within the hubs to participate in. We're encouraging and facilitating the establishment of joint initiatives, as well as mentoring between hubs. And looking towards the wider media literacy community, we're also providing free training sessions which are open to all. We ran some very popular sessions on evaluation of media literacy initiatives last year. We'll be running more on this later this year, along with those on other topics and webinars like this one. Next slide, please. And another area in which we believe we have the potential for significant impact is in helping to raise standards throughout the sector. And based on our discussions and research, we've identified a need for more attention on standards and best practices for media literacy initiatives. And we're planning to start work on developing these over the coming months. We plan to consult widely on this and seek as many viewpoints as possible. We realize that, of course, reaching consensus on every aspect won't be easy, but we think that there's scope for progress here. Based on these standards, we'd like to produce guidelines for different stakeholders and case studies of projects that meet the various standards as a source of inspiration to other practitioners. We'll use these in combination with the country profiles to gather evidence of effective strategies that can inform the policy debate about raising media literacy standards across society. As I mentioned before, there is also significant media literacy expertise in each of the 14 EDMO hubs, and each of the hubs is developing its own projects. And we are very excited to learn more about some of these today. So I'm going to hand back to Sally, and I really look forward to the presentations from our colleagues. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma. If anybody has any comments or any feedback they'd like to make, of course, about Emma's presentation and about the work of EDMO in general, feel free to do so. Put comments into the chat or ask any questions when we have an open mic session a little bit later. But we're really interested in getting your opinions and hearing what you think about the work as a whole. But let's do a deep dive now, and let's go and take a look at what the hub, the BECID hub, which is the Baltic hub, is doing in Lithuania and Latvia and Estonia with regard to media literacy. And so I'm delighted to introduce Iānis Buholcs. He's Associate Professor of the Vidzemo University of Applied Sciences in Latvia, and he's going to give us an overview about what is happening in that part of the world with regard to the hub's work on media literacy. Thanks, Iānis.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, my name is Iānis Buholcs, and I'm here to represent BECID, or the Baltic Engagement Center for Combating Information Disorders. So this is a hub that unites all the 3 Baltic countries. And it makes a lot of sense for the Baltic countries to work together, because we have historical links, we are culturally close, and also today, some of the challenges that we are facing are similar, and one of those is that we are geographically close to Russia, and we have seen how Russia is using the Russian-speaking minorities in the Baltic states to advance its own political goals, and of course there needs to be considered responses to such things. But of course, this is not the only challenge that we are facing today. Our hub is made of partners from educational, research, and media organizations. The educational and research organizations are with the University of Applied Sciences, in which I work. Then we also have Tartu University and Tallinn University from Estonia, and Vytautas Magnus University from Lithuania. Another partner is Baltic Center of Media Excellence, which is a Latvia-based organization for the betterment of media environment and journalism and other things that are connected with media work. And then we have our media partners. Delphi is an online news site that operates in all 3 Baltic countries. Then we also have Express Media from Estonia. We have Rebaltica, which is Baltic Center for Investigative Journalism, which is based in Latvia, but also is able to work on a broader scale. And also in the role of associate partner, we have Vidzemes Televīzija, which is a regional TV broadcaster in Latvia. Now, I would like to tell you about all the directions in which we are working in this project. The first direction is fact-checking work, meaning those are the activities which our journalist media partners engage in. Then we have research activities which are based on fact-checking journalism, and we are generally interested in two areas. The first is the actual practice of fact-checkers in the Baltic states, and another area is the state of art of fact-checking research, and we are working on a systematic literature review articles about what we already know about fact-checking, what works, what does not work, how does it how is it associated with media literacy and things like that. Then we also have a research activity connected to the examination of vulnerable audiences, such as teenagers, seniors, Russian speakers, activists. We intend to find out who they are, what their media habits are, and how they respond to fact-checking journalism. And lastly, we have media literacy activities, about which I will be speaking in more detail in the next slides. So what are our media literacy activities? The first activity is the development of a study course that is aimed for current and future teachers. We intend to create course materials complete with syllabus tests and other elements that would be freely available to those who are teaching at schools or those who are teaching the future teachers. This is something done on which we are already working on, and we will be doing that till the year 2024. Then we also have an activity related to intergenerational training. Here, the idea is to engage both young people and seniors with an aim to improve their digital literacy skills. In particular, the idea here is to engage with young people, train them to become trainers, to understand how learning works and how they can spread knowledge. And then those young people will become mentors for seniors. And so those distinct generations will work together with an aim to improve digital literacy skills. Then there also will be a media literacy campaign for Russian speakers. This campaign will be co-created with Russian speakers, so that it's not that we are just trying to impose our own ideas, because of course members of the community also might have quite a good idea what are the deficiencies and what things should be addressed. And here the underlying idea is to promote the Russian-speaking community to become more civically active, and of course to become better, more critical consumers of media contents, to be able to recognize various manipulative messages, and to learn how to engage with other people and how to address problems related to media environment, especially how other people consume media and how other people choose their media sources. And finally, we will have a media literacy hackathon for the youth. And here the idea would be that we will first hold workshops for the young people about various aspects of the media, about media content production, about media ethics and evaluation of information and things like that. And in the second part, those young people will create their own content associated with various media literacy topics, and they will distribute this through various digital channels. And just we will see what happens, and the best of their work will be used in other activities of the project partners. And now just some of the things that we have already been doing. The first thing that we already are doing are various journalistic reports. And of course, the most important in this regard are fact checks, but we also have created various reports that in some ways do connect with the issues of media literacy. So here are just two examples. One example is the examination of the arguments that Russia has been using in Baltic countries to justify its aggression in Ukraine. And the other example is the examination of the use of TikTok as a tool to enter national politics in Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And the question is it already possible that if you are a proficient user of TikTok, that this actually becomes your ticket to the national parliament? Then we also have several media literacy activities already undertaken. In February this year, there was a live training for youth workers on the use of playful approaches to teach children how to recognize and manage online risks. Then there also was a webinar for youth workers on what young people actually are doing on social media and what are their risks and challenges there. We also have had a workshop or training or teaching for 3 to 5 year olds about the internet safety, and this took place in Estonia. There also was a webinar at the University of Tartu about disinformation and information resilience. And there already have been several media literacy trainings for teachers also. One of those took place in April in Lithuania. There's also media literacy training in Estonia that is currently taking place. Some of the classes have already been carried out, but this particular course will end at the beginning of May. And then there's another future event that will be taking place at the beginning of May. And this will be an online seminar for the teachers in the Baltic states about various aspects of social media use and possible dangers that the use of social media might cause to students. But here, the idea behind this seminar is not only to share our experiences and our advice, but we also intend to use it as a dialogue platform so that we know what specific problems do teachers face in their work, and we could use that input in our activities aimed at training teachers. This seminar will be in English, and we hope to reach teachers in all the Baltic states. And there will also be our presence at the Opinion Festival that will take place in August this year. And here also we can see this topic about social media and TikTok in particular, because there are definitely so many issues and so many problems that can be identified with its use. And yes, our representatives will be there, and we will share our knowledge about that. So this is about it. Since we have already just started, there are so many other things that are in the works. So please stay tuned, and thank you.
Iānis, thank you very much. It's clear that even though BECID only officially started, I think, in January, is that right?
Officially, we started in December 2020.
December, yeah. But you've obviously, you're building on a lot of prior experience as well. Couple of questions that have come in already, and feel free to put more questions in there. And of course, we can switch you can switch on your mic as well too. But maybe let me just start by asking Barbara's question. Barbara from University of Amsterdam. She said, what is the platform for targeting the Russian speakers, or where would the campaign take place to target them?
It's quite early at this moment to tell you many details about that, but the general idea is that there won't be just one platform. This will work through the engagement of those people. It's not that we will be creating our messages and we will just trying to target Russian speakers, and we will engage them to become a part of our current campaign, so that those people who are part of the Russian-speaking community, they actually can actively work with other people they know and spread the message and teach other people about disinformation and how to spot various problematic messages.
Yeah, it's work in progress then, I guess, at this stage, is it? Yeah.
Yes.
You wouldn't mind, Barbara or Iānis, if Barbara contacted you directly, maybe if she's particularly interested in that topic? You'll give us your email address. Yeah, great. Yes. Okay. Also, I see Tobias, you're asking as well too about the planned media literacy materials in national languages and also in English. He says he saw that there are already some materials in English on your website. There's a lot of material available indeed. Can you just tell us how much of your material is going to be available in English, or what your planning is about sharing it like that? Do you use English as a common language for yourselves?
We have somewhat a diversified approach. since we intend to create a study course for teachers, the idea would be that the content is the same, but that content can be adapted, meaning that it can be translated for the use in our countries. But at the same time, we also know that quite a lot of teachers today do know English, and some of our activities indeed are in English, because that's just the way how we can approach the teachers from all three Baltic countries at the same time. But yes, we do intend to localize those materials, and those materials indeed will be freely available. But since our working language is English, I believe that those materials also will be available in English.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's useful for all of us to know as well too. Just Zane asked that question. The Opinion Festival you mentioned, is it in Estonia?
Yes.
It's in the one in Estonia. Okay, Simona, would you like to ask that question yourself about teachers and media literacy training? If you do, just switch on your mic. Where you go.
Yes, sure. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah. So my question was just very simple. How does the process look like when you invite the teachers for those training on the media literacy? I mean, do you select them somehow, or is just an open call, an invitation for them to register for the training?
Yes, thank you for the question. At this moment, this is indeed an open call, but we are also collecting various contacts, various addresses, and we will distribute that call also specifically to those contacts that we already have.
Great, thank you very much, Simona. I think that's everything that we had in the call from Elena, from Maggie from EDMO as well too, of course, to share the information about these events as well too, and the EDMO network will also do its work in terms of making sure that we circulate that as widely as possible. Thanks, Iānis. You're going to stay with us anyway and be with us until the end, so feel free, if people have questions or points they'd like to raise, use the chat. And I know he'll be very happy to respond to you in there. But let's switch now to GADMO. This is the German-Austrian Digital Media Observatory. And so I'm really happy to be welcoming Florian Löffler, Project Manager of Correctiv, who's going to tell us about media literacy in the GADMO hub. Florian.
Yes, hello. It's nice to see so many interested faces. I will start by sharing my presentation with you. And yes, my name is Florian Löffler from Correctiv from Germany, and we are part of the German-Austrian Digital Media Observatory, short GADMO, which just started. It's the new German hub for Germany and Austria, and we started just recently in November last year. And the project runtime is 30 months. And who is part of GADMO? GADMO has the best or the most famous, to say, fact-checking organizations from Germany and Austria on the team. That's the DPA, the German Press Association, Correctiv. Then we have the French press agency and the Austrian press agency as well. And from the researcher side, we have the Technical University of Dortmund and the Austrian Institute of Technology, and also the technical providers from ATC from Greece, which some of you might know because I think most of the EDMO hubs are working with them, or some at least. Yeah, and we are working together in a very efficient way, I would say. So what's new about, and here on the right you can see all the logos of the partners. So what's new about our hub? Like I said, those are the leading fact-checking organizations in Germany and Austria, and we're working together very closely for the first time. It's the largest collaborative project of fact-checkers and scientists in the German-speaking area. I think that is really important because so far in Germany, there hasn't been much you know which word I mean, I'm sorry. The largest, it's very hard for German to say that word. Collaborative.
You'll have to practice, Florian.
Okay. There hasn't been many projects like this, so I think it's a very good chance to have like a very broad perspective, what is happening in Germany and Austria and in the German-speaking regions in terms of disinformation and media literacy. And yeah, like I said, we have a comprehensive approach combining fact-checking and media literacy, which I will present you on the next slides. But before we start with that, I just wanted to share with you our biggest milestone so far. We recently launched our new website where 100 fact checks per month will come in from the different fact-checking organizations. And also we have a point of contact for citizens to report false claims, and those false claims will then be redirected to us organizations, and we will publish the fact checks if we think that the claim should be fact-checked. We also want to offer media literacy materials from our organizations and, of course, scientific studies from our research partners. And I will now give you a broad overview what media literacy materials we already have, all of our partners, and what we want to develop or what we are currently developing for the future or for the next month. So what we currently having are two platforms from us, from Korrektiv. Those are the Bürgerakademie and the Reporterfabrik. Both of them are e-learning platforms with explanatory videos, one-pagers, and interactive exercises for self-study. Also tips on tools and add-ons for digital research and verification, as well as reverse image search and all the tools and tricks that you need to verify and identify false claims or actual disinformation. And with those two platforms, we have two different target groups. The citizens on the one side for the Bürgerakademie, which is literally the Citizens Academy. And the Reporterfabrik is more for media professionals. And we want to take the content that we already have out of those platforms and kind of repackage, repurpose them for the GADMO project. What's also brought to the table is the Factify platform by DPA. It's also an e-learning platform with videos, one-pagers, and exercises for self-study. Also tips on tools and add-ons for digital research and verification. And this platform is focused on journalists. And across Germany, more than 2,000 journalists have already registered. So it's a big, very big and successful platform for journalists to learn all the important tools and tricks to do fact-checking. And what's also been brought to the table is the learning platform by AFP. It's the same as the others. It's a learning platform for journalists and also journalism students. This project is supported by the Google News Initiative. And also you can find videos, tutorials, case studies, etc. And which is, I think, the most important point about this platform is that you will get a certificate. So you can basically certify that you have learned the knowledge and the techniques of fact-checking, and they had over 10,000 visitors so far. Those platforms will then be put on the website, but what are we currently doing is developing new content, which I want to give you an overview now. Like I said, we from Korrektiv have different platforms, but for GADMO, we will be focusing on civilians or the broader public, mainly with a focus on the younger audience, on Gen Z or maybe even Generation Alpha. And for that, we are currently developing content. This content will mainly be an online course for self-study with a focus on younger readers. It will be based on the tried and tested model of the Bürgerakademie that I already showed you, that Korrektiv founded, and also Reporter for You, which is a platform specifically for schools. And it will comprise 7 videos, worksheets, a downloadable handout. This is expected to be ready in summer. We are currently in talks with our youth team. We at Collective have a youth editorial team, which is really comprised of people from in the age range from 15 to 20. And with them, we will now develop we already have the content, but we want to really tailor it to how young people consume media. So we will prepare videos that are really not like dry schoolwork, but really speak to the interests and the minds of younger readers, so that we can transfer our content that we already have really to the younger audiences. What we're also doing is a festival in the last years, except for the Corona years, the COVID years. Collective had a big journalistic festival once a year in September. Festival with a very broad range of activities, but we also always featured workshops on different topics. And this year we have a new branded festival. It's called the Be Future Festival, together with the Bonn Institute in Germany. And it will be hosted in Bonn on September 16th. And at this festival, we will focus on GADMO workshops for citizens. So basically, there's a big festival in the main area of Bonn city with different tents and different areas, and everyone can visit this festival. There's no entry fee or something like that, and we will offer different workshops. Of course, you can visit the workshop on different topics in the field of disinformation, media literacy. But what we are offering, what we try to offer with this festival, is not a dry workshop atmosphere, but a more playful approach. So after the workshops that are really open, we also have a quiz, so the people can really demonstrate the skills that they just learned in the workshops. They will, of course, can obtain further information material, and of course, and I think that's especially with older people, a very important thing. They can just talk to us. They can ask, someone sent me a video, how can I see that it's not real? And I think that's a very important part of the media literacy work, is just be open to questions, or to have a very low level way to get in touch with fact checkers, and to just learn the basics on how to avoid disinformation. And what we're also planning as part of this festival is a symposium for fact checkers and researchers in the field of disinformation. During this symposium, we will of course also discuss new forms on media literacy programs and trainings, and we want to invite basically all German and Austrian media literacy experts and fact checkers to this symposium, so that we maybe can develop new techniques, new ways, new content for media literacy trainings. This was basically what we are planning, and I will now. No, my screen sharing is already. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That's sorry. That's what we are currently planning, and of course we want to have the content for citizens, for especially the younger audiences, and for media professionals available on our website in the next couple of months. Yes, thanks for your attention, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask them.
Thanks, Florian. We have a couple of questions indeed coming in on the chat. I'd ask Stefania, would you like to put your question directly? Oh, switch on your mic.
Okay. Yes.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So the main question, hi Florian, hi everybody. The main question is, how is GADMO interacting with the other actors in the media literacy space? Are there platform meetings or discussion you are having about the different approaches to media literacy?
So far, we don't. We from Kollektiv are in touch with other media literacy actors as part of our other projects, like the Bürgerakademie and the Reporterfabrik. But I think that is a very good remark that we should get in touch with other media literacy actors in the German-speaking regions to, see what they think, what the newest, best approach to media literacy in general is in Germany and Austria. But so far, we haven't really reached out to other actors.
Obviously, I'm talking from an Italian perspective. So the idea is a wider connection, but obviously, whatever connection is fine, starting from whatever point. And the other question is, if I may ask the other question, I see there's another. You mentioned the topic of videos, fake videos, and this can be applied to pictures and photos. So is there, let's say, a technical preparation people can have to identify this kind of pictures and videos? Or, and this is the second part of the question, is there a technical way to obtain a certification for videos and pictures? I'm thinking about blockchain, but it could be something else.
Yes. What we are offering, what we want to offer is at least show the people the tools that we are using for identifying videos or to identify photos that have been photoshopped. But I think what your question really makes me think as well is because of the new technology in AI and the developments that are really every week there's a new development, a new stage. I think we really need to, and I'm not meaning just us at GADMO, I mean all of us here in this virtual room, we really need to talk with academics and researchers and OSINT organizations to always have the newest technology, the newest tools to still be able to identify manipulated videos and photos. And I think we really need to be aware that this technology of artificial intelligence is really exponentially growing. So,
Florian, I'm going to interrupt you because your colleague Cian has his hand up, and I think he actually wants to comment specifically on that.
Thank you very much. Hi, Stefania. I just wanted to add that one of our scientific partners, AIT, is working on a solution how to identify artificially manipulated videos. But at the moment, this is really, really basic research. There's no ready-made tool for like amateurs to use, or like with amateurs, I mean people like me, journalists who are not data scientists, but they're working on exactly that. In my experience, AI created videos at the moment, fortunately, are on a level that what helps most is just to look at the details, but I'm really, really sure this will change in the next years when developments go on. And I really hope that AIT will have some solution by then, but we'll go on and they will go on and publish their results if it comes any closer to something which can be used in our everyday work. But they're not ready, but they're working on it, which is really, really exciting for us to have them with us.
Thanks, everyone. I think we're going to move on from that question. We're going to be back to AI. I mean, this is, we're all going to face this on an ongoing basis. So thanks very much. Don't forget also, if you can indicate the name of your organization, that your country that you're coming from on the list of participants, that also helps. There were two other quick questions as well too, Florian, just wanted to put you just, first of all, the point of from Ruslana. Can you tell us more about the point of contact for citizens? How do you work with spamming? And how do you find young people to help you from schools, universities? Could you maybe just respond to that? And the other question from Barbara, maybe you'll respond in the chat.
Yeah, could you repeat? I didn't understand one word, spammers or what?
Indeed, is that one from Ruslana. The point of contact for citizens. Yeah, do you see that? Yeah.
Yeah. What we are currently offering is all of our platforms, all of our organizations, DPA, AFP, and Region Collective, at least have a WhatsApp chatbot. So what we are implementing on our website is one formula where you can say, I have a potential disinformation claim that I want to send you, and then you can choose, I want to send it to DPA, I want to send it to Collective or AFP, and then you will send it to our WhatsApp chatbot. So this bot already filters like spam or content that we already featured. So we basically have this sort of filter system already on that. So spamming should not be a problem, at least not a big one, not one of our concerns. And how do you find young people to help you from schools and universities? Well, I can just talk from our perspective at Collective. We have this youth editorial team, which is basically a project here in Germany in some cities where we just say it's basically like a place for young people to come after school. Here you can learn techniques on journalism, how to make a podcast, how to make videos, and in this way, for free, of course, and also have a place just to talk to other young people. And in this, with this open, let's say, youth club, young people come to us and bring us their knowledge, because we give them knowledge in terms of how to create content, how to create journalistic content, and they of course bring to the table knowledge. What do young people think? What do young people want? So it's basically a win-win situation for both sides. And we can ask them, how can we produce a video for Gen Z when we don't understand Gen Z, and they can help us with that.
Thanks. Thanks very much, Florian. Of course, that does beg the question, they come to you. So, of course, then there's the outreach to the groups that don't come to you that is the much more challenging part, of course. But there's a couple of just other points you might just look in the chat for me, Florian, and just reply to people in there, because I'd like to move on, if I can, to our last presentation of the session this afternoon. And so I'm really delighted to welcome Laura Aniot. She's Assistant Project Manager from the IDEA Foundation in Hungary, and she's working with the Hungarian Hub Against Disinformation, the HDMO hub, and she's going to tell us more about what the Hungarian hub is doing in terms of media literacy. Laura.
Yes, thank you, Sally. Can you hear me and can you see my presentation?
Yes, we see it fine, thank you.
And you can see me switching slides, right? Okay, perfect. Welcome everyone. Again, my name is Laura. I work for the IDEA Foundation in Hungary, and we are the partners in the Hungarian hub responsible for media literacy. Did I switch slides? Just to make sure.
Yes, you did. Fine.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. First of all, let me tell you about the background of HDMO and the Hungarian media environment, and then I will also introduce the consortium partners. First of all, the project in Hungary builds on an existing and a very successful platform that was co-financed by the EU. It's lakmus.hu, and it was part of a pilot project run under an EU grant. And this success is the basis of our current project with this hub. It's important to note that in Hungary, in the past years, media pluralism has been receding, and we can say that independent media actually lacks resources. And as such, the extent and intensity of disinformation campaigns have reached an unprecedented level by EU standards. And it is an issue that free and independent press is in terms, we can say that it's in a way oppressed by governmental and non-government, or pro-governmental organizations. So as you can see, it's a rather difficult media environment where it is very important to tackle disinformation and this whole disinformation phenomena. So the EDMO, so the HDMO hub can be considered as a matter of urgency, since it aims to help develop media diversity and the culture of awareness towards campaigns of disinformation in the eye of the public or towards the public. Now with that, let me move on to introducing the partners. We have HUNGARIan, which is the publisher of the news site 444.hu, also the pop science site qubit.hu, and more importantly, the fact-checking site lakmus.hu. And Lakmus is very important. It was launched in January 2022, as I said, funded through an EU grant. And this was the first dedicated fact-check organization in Hungary with an independent Hungarian editorial board. Before that, we had AFP's local fact-check site, but that's not a Hungarian, like not an independent Hungarian site. So Lakmus is very important when it comes to fighting disinformation. Then we have AFP, who I probably don't need to introduce, but their contribution to our hub's work is very important, as they will increase their contribution to the fact-check production in Hungarian through translations, and they will also carry out trainings that I will talk about later. Next, we have Mérték Media Monitor. They are dedicated to strengthening media freedom by assessing and influencing media policies, improving journalists' sense of responsibility, and their dedication towards professional values in journalism. And also, they are also dedicated to enhancing critical thinking in the public. And together with Political Capital, our project coordinator, they will provide analytical reports and different reports on specific disinformation campaigns. And they will also conduct studies that will help the work of the other partners as well. And back to Political Capital, they are our project coordinator. They are an independent policy research, analysis, and consulting institute. They have been operating in Hungary for over 20 years. And their contribution to the hub's work will be that they will develop AI-based tools to help the fact-checking and research processes and to detect disinformation campaigns, so from a more technical approach. Well, as I said, I come from IDEA Foundation. We are the media literacy partners here. The foundation was established in 2019. We are a media literacy specialist organization for underaged and for teachers, and we aim to increase citizens' awareness and societal resilience. It's important also to promote democratic values through media literacy education, and the primary goal of the foundation is to help children access reliable information and to be able to filter through information online and offline as well. So I will talk more about our project. And we also have ePressPack, without whom we wouldn't be able to operate. They're a French IT company who will develop the website of HDMO and also adapt the pilot project, lakmus.hu's website, to the new EDMO or HDMO project. So let's move on, if I can. Yeah, sorry. Okay, to our media literacy actions. We have 6 core tasks that are included in our media literacy work package. And during the next, well, it's not 30, but 27 months already, we will have 6 teacher trainings for e-learning materials will be published. There will be 2 major media campaigns on media literacy, 3 fact-checking trainings for journalists, and various verification tools and video tutorials about using these tools will be published. Really the core of our media literacy activities is the teacher trainings, which our foundation will organize. As we have done since 2019, so we have some experience in this already, and now we can do the same work within the HDMO project. We organize these trainings also in Budapest, but with an emphasis on other Hungarian cities. So we reach not just the capital, but other areas of the country, and we recruit elementary school teachers who will come to our trainings, and then we provide them with a lot of knowledge and practical advice and teacher guides, so they can go back to their respective schools and teach the kids how to be more media literate. Our training consists of 3 phases. There is an e-learning material that focuses on various themes such as information environment, the news industry, the background and types of misinformation or false and misleading information, including disinformation. We also emphasize the psychology of information reception and processing, because it's very important to be aware of how we actually process information, critical thinking, and we also provide a fact-checking tool set. After the e-learning phase, there is a 2-day in-person training where we finally meet the teachers, and that's when we do a recap of the e-learning material, and on the 2nd day we prepare them for the 8-week teaching placement that will take place in their schools. And as I said, we provide guides and all material that they will later need in the classroom. And this is one way how we try to it's kind of an incentive so that they don't have to prepare much and worry about that, but we provide everything for actually taking the material and teach it in their schools. And it's important that our trainings are scholarship supported, so we actually pay the teachers to participate, and these are accredited trainings. In Hungary, teachers have to participate in accredited trainings from time to time, and they are free to choose what they want to do, but this is how we try to get them to do this. And of course, other things are important, but this is our mission. So next, we have the 4 e-learning materials that we will prepare and publish during the next 2.5 years. All 4 materials will be targeted to teenagers, and we already have the main topic of each of these materials. One will deal with manipulative information techniques. The next with the traits of quality content, because we think that it's really important to show and to teach good examples, so that they can pick up on that and not just always deterring from the bad examples. There will be a 3rd one on fact-checking tools, and then of course critical thinking skills. These materials can be used independently or also within formal education. So for that, we also provide teacher guides. Then we will have the media literacy campaigns. There will be 2 campaigns. I can't tell much about this yet, because we would like to build these campaigns on the research of the next 2 years, just to see what's important and what areas we want to target, or what messages we want to convey. But there will be 2 major campaigns towards the end of the project, so that's not for another 1.5 years. AFP will conduct fact-checking trainings for journalists of selected media organizations in Hungary, with the goal of promoting fact-checking tool sets and skills. So as you could see, all the other actions before, those are targeted to children mostly. This one is to professionals. And these are 4-day trainings free of charge, and AFP's speakers will come to present. And another action taken by AFP is...
Sorry, somebody's got a mic on. Can you
Yes.
switch off? Maybe Chloe, if you can switch off the mic remotely, thanks. Sorry, Laura, keep going.
No problem. Okay, so AFP will provide verification tools made available in Hungarian, and also 6 video tutorials or other forms of educational materials will be provided on specifically on how to use these tools. The target audience of this is broadly the adult population, but basically anyone who's interested and who can be reached with these materials. And apart from our core tasks, we have 2 complementary tasks that are strongly connected to media literacy. LACMUS will publish a number of fact checks, and 50 of these fact checks will be specifically targeted at teenagers, and another 50 at the senior population. And we think that this is really important because these articles, these pieces will be designed so that they are suited for them both in style and topics. So we want them to be actually interesting and something that they read, and something that helps them maybe understand the fact checks and the whole process of fact checking. To conclude our project, there will be a conference in 2 years, and there will be 1 panel dedicated to media literacy that we will organize. And in this section, we would like to focus on the state of media literacy in Hungary and the role of the school system in a media education and media literacy education. And we will also present our previous work from the project. And that is all I wanted to say today. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Thank you very much, Laura, and thank you very much for your email address there as well too. So if people would like to follow up with you, they can. Before we talk a bit about recruiting teachers, there's a question from Francesco Marasso from ACCOM in Italy. He says, we know that the Hungarian media regulator NMH hosts a national media literacy centre in Budapest. What's your relationship with it if you have one?
We don't cooperate with them, so we don't have any shared projects, but we aim to look at best practices wherever we can, so that we can learn from each other. But what we do is specifically targeted at areas where we see that there is a lack of intervention, either state intervention or any intervention from NGOs.
To make up the gap, basically.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Just you talked indeed. First of all, just when you say elementary schools, you mean primary schools? Do you have children aged up to 12? Is that right?
Yes. Well, it's difficult because I don't know about other countries, but in Hungary there is it can last 4, 6, or 8 years. The first, so the primary school part, and then a different school that is again for 8, 6, or 4 years. So there is a lot of overlap, and it's difficult to differentiate, but mainly yes. Our basic, so the trainings are primarily designed for the 13, 14-year-old age group, but we see that it really depends on the school and the teacher and the subject. So there are a lot of components to this, whether the material is actually suitable for teaching in that particular class. Some of our teachers have actually taken it to younger students. Some have said that they need more mature students so that they can actually understand and work with this. Yes.
Just in terms of the challenges then of recruiting teachers, is it easy to recruit teachers in Hungary for this kind of training?
I wouldn't say that it's easy. That's not a word that I would use to describe it. There are a lot of challenges. Teachers are generally, and now there is a situation with this in Hungary, but we can say that teachers are generally overworked and underpaid, and they lack motivation of doing anything outside of school. And currently there is a new regulation on the way for teachers that results in a lot of them considering leaving, quitting teaching altogether. And another thing is that we see that many teachers are not comfortable with taking our materials into school. We for our trainings we ask for a kind of a formal document from the principals that say that they are okay with allowing our materials into schools. But even with that, I mean that is something a lot of teachers cannot obtain. So this piece of paper, they are not always supported by their institutions, and also there is I feel that they are often afraid taking this whole topic into the classrooms because they feel that it's a bit divisive or political in nature, whereas we try to so our training is very neutral. And this is something that is very important to us to keep it like that. But it does make it more difficult. What we do is that we, especially with our trainings outside of Budapest, we try to contact, we have a contact person in these cities where we organize the trainings, who know a lot of other teachers, or they are part of the teacher community in that area. And this way we can reach them and have a more personal and direct contact with them. So instead of an open call and the registration form, we actually look them up and we kind of knock on their doors, and it I see that it helps a lot.
It works, yeah.
Yes.
Look, we have a few minutes left before the end. Maybe I could ask Florian and Iānis and Emma as well to join us as well. I don't see any specific questions coming in on the chat, but please feel free to do so. If you have any points you'd like to put to our panel from this afternoon, we would love to have them. It just struck me as a question really for all of you, and it came back to you, Florian, in terms of that responsibility for bringing together all of the media literacy interests in a country or in a region. Who should be doing that, do you think? Can I ask you, Florian? Maybe that's a hard question, I know, but at this stage, I mean, you're all responsible trying to pull the threads together, you know, of different interests with limited resources, limited time. I'm just wondering who should be doing it, do you think? Florian?
I don't think that it is possible to reach everyone with one or several media literacy initiatives. So I would suggest that it would be much more important to advise everyone to do their own media literacy campaigns. I don't think that there should be a central point for, at least I don't think that's possible, a central point for one big media literacy initiative. I think, yeah, like EDMO and our hubs should advise all participating organizations and other associated organizations to get in touch with each other and put out their knowledge as broad as possible. I don't know if that answers the question, but I think requirements for media literacy are so broad and so diverse, and we have so many different groups that basically need some sort of media literacy education, that it's not possible for one organization to cover all that.
Yeah. Iānis, any thoughts? Your mic's off.
Yes, thank you. I would also agree with what Florian said. I don't believe that there can or should be just one large organization that oversees everything. But of course, at the same time, what we have seen in the Baltic countries, that during the last years, there have been so many various media literacy initiatives, and many of them are just short-lived. There is maybe a year or so. Something is being done for that time period, and after the money runs out or the time runs out, then well, everything stops, and then perhaps something else is being funded by other companies or other organizations, which of course is not efficient. In this regard, I think that's the work that we are currently doing is a really good way forward, because we are able to integrate our expertise from all the Baltic countries. We are engaging with among themselves with various organizations and entities who already have previous experience with media literacy, and so we are able to learn from each other and create shared campaigns, and I think this should work quite well.
Yeah. Laura, want to add anything to that? Whose job is it?
Yes, maybe that I think that all this sharing of expertise and working together would be is really useful, of course. But maybe you already got that from what I said before. I think it's very important to actually deliver it to the right people, and since we mostly work with schools and teachers and children, I see that it's an unnecessary struggle that we have, and it should be. The ideal would be if all media literacy education would be incorporated in the curriculum and in the informal teaching environments, and to always be up to date with the current trends and new ways of teaching or methods of teaching this. It would be amazing to have a more comprehensive approach with a lot of sharing of best practices. But yeah.
Thanks, Laura. Just as a question you saw coming in from Paula about media literacy for seniors. Just before we finish, have any of you got anything you could add? Chloe's put in some links there. About that, anything that you three in your activities around media literacy aimed at seniors?
Well,
Iānis?
currently we do not have, but seniors are one of the audiences that we intend to research, and this activity has not started yet, so we don't. There's little that we can share at this moment, but we indeed hope to learn something new about this audience and how to approach them, and perhaps how to make them more resilient with regards to their information and consumption.
Thanks. Anybody? Paula, Oh, sorry,
Yes.
Laura or Emma, you know of anything?
Yeah, we have the 50 pieces that are directed to seniors, but I think it requires a very different approach because of course it's always more difficult to teach people who claim to have much more experience and are not still in school, are more open to learning new things. And it's when it comes to media literacy, it's just so different, and the messages and I think the objectives are very different. So but it's definitely something that we should all consider maybe focusing on in the future.
Lots to do. It's just
Yes.
just the end of the time that we allocate this session. Thank you so much, and thanks to everybody who stayed with us to the bitter end. It was really good to have the session this afternoon and to have you with us, and I hope you'll continue to follow the work that the EDMO hubs are doing in media literacy. I think we're going to just remind you this is where the hubs are located. At the very end, you see the EDMO EU news site, which is a really useful way to stay up to date with what's actually happening in general with EDMO, and also the specific hubs as well too. I think you got lots of links this afternoon to the individual hubs. We'd just like to remind you about our newsletter. So there's various different links there, or various different articles highlighted there that will probably be of interest to you, in particular in relation to the media literacy, media education topic, including the first in our series of interviews on EDMO Round Hub on the hubs. The first one is with the Irish hub by Ricardo, and we're going to continue that every month where we'll have a featured hub. So we'll continue on the discussion. Other than that, I think we just want to remind you we'll have another one, the last one of our Wednesday webinars in this academic year. It'll be on the 10th of May, video-based resources for schools. Stay tuned. We'll have our autumn events announced in the not too distant future. The EDMO conference is taking place on the 25th of May, and we're having the Media Learning Annual Conference on media education or media usage in higher education on the 20th and 21st. You'll find out all about us and what we're doing on that site at medialearning.eu. Thanks everybody. Thanks Chloe for minding us this afternoon, and thanks very much to you.